Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris from Signs of Life, and in today's video, we are going to build an ambient track from scratch in 30 minutes or less. About a month ago, on my Patreon page, I came up with an idea that instead of focusing on the sound design in some of my videos, I would give my users the presets first so we could use those existing presets and then build a track from scratch together. Needless to say, this idea was wildly successful, and that's what we're going to recreate here on the channel today. So before we start this video, I'm going to have you pause the video right now and go download the Signs Beginner Pack 2, which is available exclusively on my website. Inside this pack, you'll find 8 exclusive presets that you can use to follow along with this tutorial and provide you with the starting palette for any other ambient track of your choice. This is my gift to the community and my gift to you for saying thanks for supporting this channel and thanks for supporting ambient music on the internet. So, that being said, this channel is also on Patreon, so if you love these kinds of tutorials, make sure you check out my Patreon page. I'll leave the link down below in the description as well. That being said, let's get into it. Ambient track in 30 minutes or less for beginners. Enjoy. All right, so here we are inside of Ableton Live 11. Now, I want to make it clear right from the start that you do not need Ableton Live to follow along this tutorial. Any other DAW will work. As long as you have Vital installed and you install the bank. Now, to install the bank, all you're going to do is come over to Vital and open it up and click on the 3-line menu right here at the top right and just click Import Bank, find the local bank on your hard drive and install the presets. Now, I have the presets installed on my hard drive locally because I created the presets right here, but yours will show up down here on the bottom left. All right, so what we're going to do is build an ambient track in 30 minutes or less using these existing presets. Now, first of all, I'm going to set the tempo, which my tempo right now is set to 77 beats per minute. And for those of you who are following at home, I'm going to be playing in C minor today. So if you know how to play in C minor or you know the notes inside of C minor, that's what I'm going to be playing in. All right, so let's go ahead and grab one of these presets to start. I'm going to grab a pad called Ghosts right here, and I'm just going to start playing some keys. And you guys can hear what this preset sounds like, and then we can start building a track from scratch. So I'm going to start playing right now. So as you can hear, that's a nice place to start. So I might start there just by drawing in some notes and start laying down the foundation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in a MIDI clip. Now I'm going to select this region right here. It might differ depending on what DAW you're using, but I'm just going to hit Control-Shift-M on my PC here, and I'm going to make a MIDI clip. Now, this MIDI clip, I'm going to draw in some notes. So depending on the chords that you're playing, it can kind of vary, but right now I'm playing a minor 7th chord, so that equals the note C, we have G in here, and we have an A sharp, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn off my fixed grid, and I'm going to draw in those notes. So I'm gonna hold these keys down and start drawing in the notes, right? Just like this, using the pencil tool. And then what I might want to do is I might want to extend this root note out. However, I might want to change some of the notes as that next passage goes by. Just like this. Okay? So as you can see, I completely changed the chord. Now we have a D, F, and G sharp along with that C bass right there, right? I might extend this out even further and have a different chord here. This is a C sus4, so I have an F, a G, and a D sharp. Put this in scale mode. Go to bar 24 right there. This is good. And finally, resolving chord. Oh yeah, I like that one. Put a C right here. And another A sharp. Just like that. Perfect. All right, great. So now we have 32 bars of this pad laid down. Okay? Now, as you can see, it's kind of buzzy. Like, you know, you can adjust the mod wheel here. And what the mod wheel does, it completely changes that second filter to a low pass filter. So it gets rid of all that buzzy kind of, you know, craziness. And this is one of the reasons why I chose this pad to start, was because there's a lot of different timbres inside of this one pad. Now I'm going to lower the volume of this pad. There we go. Let me add some of the space macro. Let's listen to what the artifacts macro knob does. Ooh, that's cool. You might find a happy medium here with the mod wheel, where you still have some of that kind of buzzy space locust, as we like to say, right? So around 0.75, right? 0.8. Ooh, that's good. There we go. Nice. So let's go ahead and name this track. We're going to call this Ghosts. Oh, yeah. Ooh, I love that chord right there. And let's go ahead and loop this section, all right? So now we got our pad laid down, and we have our first section looped. Now, the question is, what comes next, right? What can you add on top of this to really take this to the next level? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a soundscape underneath this to provide a little bit more contrast, especially on the lower end. So what I want you to do is grab another instance of Vital, and we're gonna grab the soundscape called End Times. And what we're gonna do with the soundscape is we're gonna play it at a fairly low register. And by low register, I mean around like C2. I think that's a really good place to start with End Times. Go ahead and open it up. I'm just playing C2 right now. You can add some more detail with the mod wheel if you want. There's a details macro here, which adds a little bit of distortion. Ooh, some phaser might be nice. Gave you the option there. So let's go ahead and turn the volume down a little bit. And what we're gonna do is create a MIDI clip. Probably about right here at bar, after 16 bars. And so we'll create a MIDI clip, and we're just gonna draw in one single note at C2. So go ahead and just hit C2. I'm using a fixed grid of 8 bars, and just go ahead and draw that note all the way across. And now, when that pad reaches that certain point, that soundscape's gonna kick in. That's powerful. So finding the right balance is everything. And fans of the channel know, and those of you who are my students on Patreon, I always use a span on my master fader. So as you can see, now that we have the pad and the soundscape going on at the same time, the frequencies are present. Like we have a nice bass response here. The rest of the sub bass frequencies will be filled out with the actual bass that's included in the pack. But you can see we got some nice high end here. Like everything's sounding and looking good. I really like that. So we're off to a great start here. We've got our nice pad to kind of open up. That's Ghosts. Let's go ahead and name this. This is End Times right here. End Times. All right, cool. And now let's go ahead, and the next step is going to be a big one. We're going to start introducing a sequence. Now what you can do is you can either loop this pad and just loop it, like just by dragging it over or just copying it over if you're in another DAW. Or, you can make different, you can do anything you want. The point of this tutorial is to provide you with a starting palette, but how you interpret the composition or how you interpret any of these frequencies is totally up to you. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to start introducing a sequence, and that's what we're going to do on the other side. So let's go ahead and add our sequence. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is grab another instance of Vital here. So I'm going to go over to Vital, grab Vital. And what you can do is pull up the pluck. It's called the conduit, right? Now, the pluck is a really nice pluck that doesn't have much delay on it. So if you have an external delay plugin, like you could just use Ableton stock delay or Valhalla delay, that would work here. I really like a healthy dose of delay. You can use the onboard delay inside of Vital, which we'll talk about in a second. So what I'm going to do is grab my loop markers and pull it over to bar 33. And then I'm going to draw in a 4-bar MIDI clip right here. And I'm going to set this to 8th notes. Now what you can do is start drawing in some notes like, somewhere around C3. So I'm going to leave my headphone button on here so I can hear it. And I'm going to start drawing in some notes. That might be good. And what you can do, instead of using an external delay, is you can come over to the effects and increase the mix and the feedback in the delay. This might work. This might do the trick. So let's go ahead and increase the mix and the feedback. Right? That's nice. Okay. You can go ahead and repeat the process. We'll go that. We'll go another G. We won't go too crazy, all right? So let's go ahead and just play this. And then you can dial that delay into taste, right? Like I said, coming over to the effects tab in Vital, it's all about feedback and mix here. Now, because that was set so low, the feedback was set like right here and the mix was set super low. You can use an external delay plugin like Valhalla's delay and put a dotted 8th note. This is already set to dotted 8th notes and it would sound like this. Same effect, right? So you could use it stock or you could use the onboard delay. Up to you. Either way, this is sounding great. So pull this out a little bit. We got our sequence. This is great. Let's go ahead and duplicate this clip. Actually, we're gonna go ahead and move this soundscape over so we can hear it. There's that soundscape and the pad together. Oh, yes. I love that. See, now we're really building up that atmosphere. Let's come back over to our span on our master fader. And you can see that that sequence is now filling up that middle section. And we still have room for our bass. It's so important to find the balance here between all the different elements, right? Oh, nice. Excellent. Okay, so next we're gonna add our bass. So we're gonna call this the conduit. Let's rename it. Fantastic. Again, I'm using external delay. You can use the internal delay. Add some of your own effects, own reverb. You can play with the macros here on the conduit. It's got a filter macro. Got a little bit more detail. It's got some artifacts here. Make it a little more crisp. It's got some movement. Got a movement macro. And actually the mod wheel takes out some of the detail. So you might find a happy medium right here with the mod wheel, around 0.5. Nice. Excellent. So we dialed in our pluck. We've got our soundscape, right? I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this soundscape. So I'm gonna duplicate this clip right here. Let's go ahead and duplicate that and move the original one back. There we go. Perfect. All right, cool. So that's good. So now we're rolling. Let's go ahead and add our bass here. And we're going to add another instance of Vital. We're going to add our bass, which is called the orb. So let's go ahead and add the bass. Now this orb is very interesting because if we contrast this, the original, let me go ahead and turn down the details and turn down the artifacts. Listen to what the bass does. If we play on a really low note, like C1. You feel that? That's what happens when you ground a track. You know, basses should always be mono. They should be down in the lower registers to really provide that sense of foundation, depth, and emotion. That's when we feel the bass. And so I'm just playing one note on that lower end, but it's just enough to really set the tone there, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and play this low note here. This is C1, okay? Now what's interesting about the bass is that the bass has an option whether to take the sustain out or not, right? So you could pull the sustain out and just have this be like a plucky bass. And that might be cool. You'd also increase the timbre here. It's got some movement, it's got some FM. There's all kinds of things you can do with this bass. Oh yeah. It's a nasty bass. I love that. I like that. Okay, so what I've settled on is I think I'm gonna do this a 2-bar bass. So I'm gonna make this 2 bars, right? And I'm just gonna repeat this. Okay? Let's see what that sounds like. And let that sort of decay fall away. If you don't know what I'm talking about, originally the bass had a high sustain, low decay. But what I did was I took the sustain out of it and I increased the decay to around 4 seconds. Okay? So it gently falls away. This is on envelope 1 here. That's nice. I like that. Let's make this 8 bars. Actually 16. Oh, it is 8 bars. There we go. Nice. Excellent. All right, one thing I'm gonna do, just for clarity here, I'm gonna change this soundscape to be 16 bars. And what that's gonna do is allow us to play. So I'm gonna delete the second half of this. Let's go ahead and delete the second half. And now the soundscape is 16 bars. So I'm gonna lower this down to 16 bars. And then I'm gonna duplicate this over. There we go. So now we can hear the soundscape with the pad. Perfect. Oh yeah. Ooh, that's nice. You can add a little bit of reverb. It does have a space maker on it, so go ahead and add some space to it. Excellent. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, with the movement of that pad, so nice. I love it. I love it. So what comes next? Well, after this, what I'd like to do is add a secondary sequence and a lead. So there's a lead patch in there and there's a sequence patch. And by adding both of those things and maybe one more pad, we're really gonna start pushing this track towards the finish line. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a lead patch to our composition, which is really gonna add some expressibility and some your own personal touch into the ambient track. So let's go ahead and add another instance of Vital here. And we're gonna open it up and we're gonna add Signals, which is our lead patch. Now, Signals is a really cool patch. I'm gonna go ahead and play this real quick. And you can hear it's kind of gritty. And it's also got pressure sensitivity set to the filter. So let's go ahead and play the track. So when I press harder on the keys, that filter opens up, which is a really nice touch. right, I'll go ahead and stop there. Now, because I'm working in Ableton, I can hit record new here, and it just captured all of the MIDI that I just played. Now, you can do this manually by hand. I'm gonna go ahead and take out that little accidental note right there. And maybe I'll go ahead and put this in scale mode. It already is in scale mode, but I'll go ahead and add one more note here. Maybe we'll do like, just like G right here. So we'll go ahead and add a G. And now, we have a nice little MIDI line, right, with signals. Sounding good. We can play with the macros here. We got a shape macro, wave shape, some wide panning. You can also play with the mod wheel here. It softens it up a little bit. But as you can hear, it really adds a nice touch and adds some ambiance to our existing track, right? Because as this sequence eventually fades out, we're gonna add another sequence in here. But that lead really kind of, you can make this as long as you want. We could extend this out to another 32 bars if we want to. Oh, that's great. I love it. Fantastic. So let's add one other element to this. I'm gonna rename the signals. All right, so let's go ahead and add one more instance of Vital. Now, this is gonna be the sequence, a secondary sequence here. So go ahead and grab Vital, and we're gonna add the actual sequence patch. It's called Star Command. Now, with Star Command, what I want you to do is, I want you to use this judiciously. And what I mean by that is, make sure that you're playing it at kind of a low register, like meaning low in volume, and you know, it's not too loud and in your face. And what I'm gonna have you do is just draw a MIDI clip all the way across. And the note that I want you to draw in is C3. So we're looking for that register here. I'm gonna set this to 8 bars, and we're just gonna go ahead and draw in a C3 here and extend this all the way across. And with Star Command, it's got some really interesting macros that you can play with. There's space, pan, artifacts here. But let's just listen to what Star Command sounds like underneath this entire track and how it actually fits in with the other sequence that's there already. Check it out. Yes! I love it! I love it! Wow. Got some artifacts here. Oh my goodness. Wow, we got a wave shape macro. Oh my gosh. That's fantastic. Oh, I love it. I love it. And the reason why I like it is it's just enough. Now let's go ahead and let's go back and let's look at our span. All right, let's check it out. What do we got going on here? As you can see now, the frequency spectrum is completely filled out, right? We have a nice bass response down here. I mean, that could even be louder than that. We can maybe take down some of these mid-range elements. We've got a nice healthy response up here on the high end. It's very well-rounded, and I like that. Everything is present. So I'm gonna turn up the bass a little bit. There we go. So now the question is, where do you go from here, right? Where could you go from here? Well, first of all, this track is only like a snippet of what it could be, right? We could go ahead and start copying over these different parts, right? Make these different dynamic arrangements. What I like to do in Ableton is extend my loop marker out to like 250. And now I have a bigger timeline to work with. So I can say to myself, all right, well, let's go ahead and maybe extend Star Command, put it out here. We'll take our bass and maybe, actually instead of duplicating it, let's just go ahead and just extend it all the way out. We can go ahead and maybe make this pad come back here. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do, right? just to kind of rough out the arrangement before you actually make the final track. We can add a secondary pad here. I did include 3 pads in the pack, so I encourage you guys to explore that. Let's go ahead and rename this star command. And let's go ahead, as a final touch here, let's go ahead and just add a secondary pad. Add another instance of Vital on our last track. And let's explore one of the other pads. So we have Divine Timing here. We also have Stellar Void. Let's use Divine Timing. What a name, right? And let's go ahead and just kind of freestyle this pad in. Let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's perfect. With that little bit of white noise wash in there. Oh, my God. Yes. Right? So as you can see, in just a little bit of under 30 minutes, we composed an entire ambient track with presets that I'm providing you here today. And, you know, Vital is a very powerful synthesizer, but it's not the only synthesizer. However, Vital is free, and I feel like it's a really perfect vehicle to provide you guys with the knowledge and the necessary palette. I like to call these like colors. You know, we're painting with sound here. I like to provide these presets for you so you can set yourself off on your own ambient adventure. You can take this in any direction that you want to. However, with the techniques that I've shown you here today and the presets that I provided, anything is possible. I mean, literally, you could take this direction in a number of different ways. But as a starting point, this is a fantastic place to be because all possibilities are open to you. And if you take these presets and you make something awesome with them, or they begin your whole new ambient journey because you're just starting out, I'd love to hear it. Let me know. That's what this channel is all about. It's interactive. So I want to say thanks. Thanks for joining me here today. Thanks for following along. If you enjoyed this tutorial, let me know in the comments down below. And like I said, if you really love these kind of videos, this channel is on Patreon, and that's how this channel stays alive. So come check me out. The link is always down below in the description. I do tutorials like this every single week. We have over 100 preset packs on there. I do one-on-one ambient coaching. So if you want that extra personal touch, sign up for some ambient coaching. We'll go through this process together. Sounds so good. Anyway, my name is Chris from Signs of Life. Thank you again for joining me. Take good care, you guys. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. I'll see you guys in the next one.